So I'm gonna get real with you guys here for a minute, if you'll let me. And even if you don't let me, because this is my channel and I can do whatever I want. Now, there are a ton of cool things that come into the Just Tank office pretty regularly. Things I get pretty dang hyped for. Things I hope all of you get hyped for. And just generally hype-inducing stuff. But a while ago, ASUS South Africa hit me up and asked whether I'd like to check out something that I don't really get to play around with all that often, and something I definitely was not hyped for. And that something was the ASUS ROG Chariot gaming chair. The chair I'm sitting on right now, and we'll be reviewing in this video. And if you're wondering why I wasn't hyped for this thing, that's because you should be. On paper, this thing ticks all of the right boxes. A premium gaming chair from a premium manufacturer that just looks amazing and literally has RGB lighting built in. Practically the only box it doesn't tick, and a box that 9 out of 10 chairs that I've put my butt in don't tick, is that they're not actually able to handle a tank. There's a reason my nickname is Tank, and it's not just because my actual name kinda sounds similar. It's because I'm kind of built like one, except for more obesity, a touch of muscle mass, and slightly less destructive power. And I say slightly there because my 1.9 meter, 150 to 160 kilogram butt has absolutely devastated pretty much every chair it's ever been in. Wooden chairs, iron chairs, gaming chairs, office chairs, and heck, even some sturdy couches have all tried and failed to support all of this goodness. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here is that I was pretty sure I was gonna break this chair before they actually sent it over. So that's why I wasn't hyped for it. Because it was gonna be a very expensive lesson to learn for both ASUS and for myself. But, and just like my butt, this is a pretty big one. As you can see, the chair is holding up with literally zero issues. In fact, I've been using it as my daily driver chair for the past 3 months or so, and I honestly can't believe it hasn't shown any signs of weakness yet, especially since its max load is 120 kilograms. But this toughness does start to make a little more sense once we get into the specs of the chair. The frame of the chair itself is entirely built out of steel, while its 5-star shaped base is made out of some sort of seriously strong aluminium alloy. And yes, it's aluminium, not aluminum. Just stop that, America. But the base and frame alone don't tell the full story. Connecting the frame and base is an explosion-proof Class 4 gas lift, which has never failed to lift or lower smoothly, and handles my weight at any height without any issues. Wheels are usually one of the first things to go on my previous gaming and office chairs, and that's probably because they're not the same wheels as on the Chariot. These little things are absolute troopers. None of the 5 65mm casters have given up on me yet, and they glide over the tiles in my office with ease and without damaging the tiles thanks to their durable polyurethane coating. And to top it all off, putting the whole thing together was super easy, barely an inconvenience. And that's all thanks to the extensive, super easy to follow, and kind of awesome looking instructional guide ROG shipped with it. But that's enough gushing about the build quality of this thing, so let's start gushing about just how insanely gorgeous this thing is. I mean, just friggin' look at it. The ROG Chariot is on an entirely different level when it comes to gaming chairs. The black PU leatherette upholstery looks undeniably sleek and stylish, while the red stitching and ROG logos add some real attitude to the whole thing. Attitude that carries over to the back of the chair, which features a sturdy carbon fiber looking backplate and 3 red fabric straps with cybertext patterning along with ROG branding. Everything about this chair looks intimidatingly badass, while also looking kind of professional. Like, obviously it's a gaming chair and it looks like a gaming chair, but it also has a serious touch of class to it, and I just love everything about it. Now look, if you've ever heard of or seen the Chariot before, you probably know what's next on the agenda. That's right, RGB. Yep, RGB on a chair. What a ridiculous, moronic, totally unnecessary, and utterly amazing idea. Last year when ASUS first unveiled this thing, the idea of RGB on a friggin' chair was just so over the top and pointless. But now, more than a year later, with RGB having made its way into pretty much all aspects of gaming gear, yeah, no, RGB on a chair makes total sense actually. Especially now that I'm able to see just how absolutely epic it looks in person. The back of the chair features a huge lighting zone in the shape of an ROG logo, while the front gets a sort of cutout with silver borders along with an infinity mirror finish in the middle. An infinity mirror that's illuminated on all sides with glorious RGB, and right in the middle of all of that are the words Republic of Gamers, which also lights up along with everything else. What really helps elevate the lighting on this chair is that there are essentially no bright or dim spots in any of the lighting zones thanks to a ton of perfectly diffused LEDs. Well, that and the fact that the lighting can be customized with various effects, including rainbow, breathing, color cycling, wave, and a few others. This is all made possible thanks to the controller fitted to the right of the chair. Along with letting you cycle through effects, the controller also lets you adjust the brightness of the lighting, the speed of the effects, and the color of certain effects. All in all, the Chariot's implementation of RGB lighting is just the best I've ever seen on a gaming chair. and it just kind of ties the whole look together perfectly. That being said though, it is not actually perfect. See, you can't really have an RGB gaming chair without it being powered in some way. And for the Chariot, that means plugging it into a power bank. Luckily, the Chariot includes a little pouch on the back right underneath where the cable pops out, so you can connect your power bank, plop it into the pouch and zip it up. And yes, I said your power bank there because ASUS doesn't actually include one in the box, which is a pretty big, albeit kind of understandable bummer, because those things ain't cheap. One of the biggest issues with this solution is that you'll have to remember to turn off the lighting if you want the power bank to last any length of time. And you'll then also have to remember to charge said power bank somewhat regularly. Or if you're anything like me and you just can't be bothered to be responsible, you can plug the chair straight into something like your phone charger brick through a USB extension cable and live in uninterrupted RGB bliss. Sure, a long cable running from your chair to your wall socket isn't exactly an ideal solution, but it's much better than being responsible and making sure your things are always charged. And thanks to the convenient straps on the back of the chair, which you're technically supposed to use for hanging your gaming gear or backpack on, managing that cable and keeping it away from the wheels of the chair is much easier. Just be warned that ROG doesn't recommend doing this anywhere on the site. It doesn't recommend not doing it, but still, maybe check in with them before you actually try it. Oh, and just a quick note here. I did have some issues with the controller on this particular review unit, which caused some lighting effects to not display properly. But ROG has assured me that this is an isolated issue. So, now we know how sexy and durable this thing is. But none of that matters if sitting in it makes your butt and back beg for the sweet embrace of death. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Comfort. And unsurprisingly, the Chariot has that covered as well. The Chariot is not just the most comfortable gaming chair I've ever used, but it also even makes it to the top 3 of just chairs in general I've sat in. The cushiony parts of the chair are made out of cold cure foam that's just soft enough on the important bits while also providing more than enough firmness and support. And thanks to the design of the breathable upholstery ROG went with, everything stays nice and cool while matches start heating up. The included memory foam lumbar support cushion is a game changer too, especially to people like me with spines. But if you're not all that into spines, you can remove the cushion entirely. The Chariot's headrest is also a welcome addition. It's filled with high-density foam that's nice and breathable, and it's generously adjustable too, letting you reposition it exactly where you need it to be. And while we're on the topic of adjustable, pretty much everything on this chair is adjustable. Levers on the bottom and the left and the right of the chair let you adjust its height, tilt angle, and recline position up to 145 degrees, which is an absolute must-have if you hate sitting in the exact same position for hours on end. I like to kick back and put my feet up whenever I'm not working or gaming, and even while I'm working or gaming, and this thing makes doing that an absolute breeze. And while we're on the adjustability train, I have to give ROG major props for the armrests on this thing. They can be lifted up or down, moved forwards and back, can be swiveled in or out, and pushed further out or closer in to perfectly conform to wherever you need them to. They also feature a soft plastic surface, which my elbows are really thankful for. All in all, the Chariot really does seem like the full package for anyone with a butt. And ROG has made it shockingly hard for me to actually find any fault with it. The only thing I can really complain about is the inconvenience of having to keep a battery pack charged. And even then, my method of just plugging it straight into the wall eliminates that entirely. And even people who hate RGB more than Linus hates shoes don't have anything to complain about, since the ROG Chariot core is essentially the same chair just with the lighting ripped out. There's really only one thing that could potentially derail the hype train for this chair, and that's pricing. And unfortunately, pricing is one of the 2 things about the Chariot and Chariot core that we don't have confirmation on just yet. The other thing being when we can actually get our hands on these things. Although signs do point to the chairs launching sometime this quarter. From some of the pricing I've seen online and then directly converted to USD, I suspect that the Chariot might come in at around $550, while the Chariot core could come in at around $450. Now keep in mind that these prices have not been confirmed by ROG in any way. They're just my guesses from converting from other sites in other regions. So don't quote me on that. That said, if ROG does decide to price these things kind of close to those price points, they'll be pretty much out of reach for most gamers and enthusiasts, which would honestly suck because this is a fantastic chair. But like I said, we'll have to wait for the official pricing to be announced before we can actually draw any real conclusions. One thing you don't have to wait for though is to hit that like button, so go ahead and do that now, get subscribed if you haven't already, and click the little bell icon to get notified of all my most recent uploads. And that wraps it up from my end, so cheers!